This is a remote learning initiative by Shetvidya Mandir English High School. Standard 6 Science Simple Machines. What are simple machines? As the name suggests, it's a machine that's pretty simple. It's a machine that's simple because it has only one or two parts and a very simple and easy structure. Why are simple machines used? Well, simple machines are basically devices that are used to get more work done in a small amount of time and with very little effort. Simple machines have only one or two parts and a simple and easy structure. Simple machines can be handled easily and there are less chances of these machines breaking down or getting damaged. All in all, simple machines are easy to use, get more work done within a short period of time and require less effort. Plus, they are easy to maintain. We shall cover 6 simple machines in this chapter and that's it. For a pulley, imagine a fat wheel. Add some grooves in the center part of the wheel and wrap a thread or a rope or a string around it. One end of the thread will be pulled by you in the downward direction while the other one will be used to lift up a weight and it will come up in the upward direction. When you use a pulley, you have to bear less of the weight and lifting of the weight also becomes pretty simple. It's convenient and easy to use a pulley. Several examples of a pulley are mentioned in the pictures. Cranes, bicycle chains, wells, window blinds, fishing reel, flagpoles, movable clothesline, gym equipment, and elevators are some of the examples that use pulley. Wheel and axle. Wheels reduce friction and require less force to transport along distances. The wheel is fitted to a rod at its center. This rod is called an axle. When the axle starts rotating, with the help of electricity, the wheel fitted to it also starts rotating. This combination of an axle and a wheel is a simple machine. Notice the examples of simple machines in the pictures. An inclined plane is basically any plane that is kept in a slanting position and is used to lift a weight. We have to bear less of the weight and lifting the weight becomes easier. The more gradual the slope, that is, the shorter the steps we take as we progress forward, the lesser the weight we have to bear. But such an inclined plane becomes longer and the time taken increases. The steeper the slope, that is, the more vertical, the more higher it goes. The shorter the inclined plane. But we have to bear a greater weight as we'll have to push in an upward direction. That means we have to bear the entire weight. A screw is a very long inclined plane. The best way to imagine a screw is take a long piece of paper, take a pencil and wrap the long piece of paper around the pencil. Now you have a screw. Notice the picture examples of a screw. A wedge is just another form of an inclined plane. Actually, it has two inclined planes that are back to back. It's pretty simple to see a wedge. Take both your hands and join them together. Now you have a wedge. You can place your hands back to back as well to form a wedge. Notice the examples of wedge: a knife, an axe, door stopper, chisel, iron nail, needles, shovel, handsaw, push pins are a few examples mentioned here. A wedge is usually used to separate something. However, in some instances like in a needle, it can also be used to bring together something or to mend something. A lever is a pretty simple topic if you just keep in mind two things. First, whenever you are faced with an example, you will draw a straight line. And second, remember the shortcut fantastic levers, that is F, L and E. There are three types of levers, and in the first type, the fulcrum should be in between. In the second type, the load will be in between. And in the third type, effort will be in between. The shortcut, fantastic levers. Let's go through some examples. Let's take the first example as a seesaw. Now you can notice that the fulcrum is the one on which the seesaw is balancing. The effort put by one person in the downward direction lifts the load of the other person in the other direction. All you have to do now is draw a straight line. You will notice that the fulcrum is in the center. Circle it and you can just write down that this is the first type of lever. You can do the same line drawing for scissors and pliers. You will notice that the fulcrum is in the center, the effort is at one end and the load is at the other. Let's move on to the second type of lever. Let's take the example of the hand wagon. You can see that the hand wagon is balanced on the wheel and on the rod. You will be pulling the rod from one side and the load will be placed in between. Now we know levers L comes in between, which means that this is the second type of lever. Let's take the example of the bottle opener. In the bottle opener, you will note that the bottle cap is in the center of the bottle opener. The balancing point on which the bottle cap will balance is at the end, which means the fulcrum is at the end. The load is in the center, the load that is the bottle cap, and you are applying the effort at the other end. Since L is in between, we all know that it is going to be the second type of lever. Now, let's see if you can solve the third type of lever on your own. It's pretty simple. Take the example of a pair of tongs. Imagine you're picking up some salad with a pair of tongs. Now, you won't be placing your hands at the edge of the tongs. You won't be able to press it downwards and lift anything. You will have to place your hands in center, which means that the effort you are applying is at the center. Similarly, in the case of a broom, you can't catch the broom from the edge and expect the broom to do the job perfectly. You have to place your hands in between, and as we know that the effort is in the center, for the third type, we can simply say that the broom is an example of a third type of lever. Note down several more examples of lever and then use the line and the fantastic lever shortcut to see if you can conclude which is the first, second and third type of lever. If we use machines for a long period of time, they will definitely require some maintenance. Let's see why and how this maintenance takes place. First, we'll tackle the why. When parts of machines rub against one another, they create friction. Soiled and dusty parts rubbing against each other create a lot more friction. Some parts of machines get affected by weather and they rust and they erode. This damages the machines and the machines will become useless due to such wear and tear. Now to avoid this, we will have to take a lot of care of the machines. Since it's important, we'll maintain the machines very well. First, we'll wipe all the parts clean. Next, oiling and lubrication of the parts of the machines should be done so that the friction is less and the wearing is reduced. Next, the machines can be covered when they are not in use. This prevents the dust from settling on them. To prevent the effect of weather, metallic parts in a machine are painted externally and the machines are always kept dry. This increases the life expectancy of the machines. And these are a few ways that machines can be maintained. A recap of simple machines. Remember two things when you are deciding the type of the lever. First, you will draw a line on the picture. Second, you will remember the shortcut fantastic levers F, L and E. If the fulcrum is in the center, it's the first type of lever. If the load is in the center, it's the second type of lever. And if you find the effort in the center, it's the third type of lever. A screw is basically a long inclined plane that's wrapped around an axis. Wedges are two inclined planes that are placed back to back and they are usually used to separate something. Hence the phrase drove a wedge between them. An inclined plane is basically a slanting plank. Wheel and axle are used to move along things. A pulley is used to lift things easily, wherein you apply the force in the downward direction. That's all for this lesson. Hope Simple Machines is as simple for you now as the name suggests.